One night, I was staring at the screen, my eyes bloodshot after hours of analysis. The gold chart was surging upward, like a massive wave about to sweep everything away. My heart raced, sweat trickled down, and I hit buy, utterly convinced I was right. But just 15 minutes later, the price reversed violently. My stop loss was hit. My balance evaporated. I collapsed onto the desk, whispering to myself, "Where did I go wrong? My analysis was perfect." That's when a millionaire trader beside me smiled gently. He said, "You were right about the trend, but wrong about the timing, and that's what killed you." That single sentence hit me like a hammer. For years, I believed the secret was analyzing better, mastering more indicators, reading more technical books. But the brutal truth was this: it wasn't about lacking knowledge. It was about lacking the patience to wait for the precise moment. The market is never wrong. Only the trader chooses the wrong time. Welcome to Trading Psychology Stick. Quick disclaimer: what you're about to hear isn't financial advice. It's psychological education drawn from real trading experiences. Your results will depend entirely on your discipline, not just your knowledge. In the next 67 minutes, you'll walk through 15 lessons, golden principles distilled from legends like Jesse Livermore, Mark Douglas, Paul Tudor Jones, and Linda Raschke. You'll see why timing, not just analysis, is the true deciding factor between winning and losing. You'll understand why so many get the direction right and still blow up their accounts. And you'll walk away with a clear framework to stop being prey to the market. Let me be honest, 99% of traders fail not because they lack systems, but because they lack the discipline to wait for the right moment. If you skip what's coming next, you'll likely repeat the same painful cycle I once did. Right direction, wrong time, account destroyed. But if you stay until the end, you'll see the truth, that trading isn't a gamble, it's a game you can master. And that's my promise to you. Chapter 1. The curse of being right but losing anyway. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you call the market direction perfectly, and yet you still lose money? That's the cruel paradox every trader faces sooner or later. You can be right about where the market is heading, but if you get in at the wrong time, you'll bleed. This is the silent curse of trading, the one nobody warns you about until it's too late. Here's what most traders miss. Markets punish impatience more than they punish ignorance. You can study charts for years, master every indicator, even forecast global macro trends. But if you mistime your entry, the market doesn't care how smart you are. It will take your money. Timing is the invisible assassin hiding in every candle, every chart, every setup. Picture yourself as an archer aiming at a moving target. You can be the best marksman in the world, but if you release a fraction of a second too soon or too late, the arrow misses. Trading is no different. Let me take you back to Jesse Livermore's defining moment from Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. Livermore was brilliant at spotting trends. He knew when the tide was turning long before anyone else. But early in his career, he had a fatal flaw. He always jumped in too early. He would see a bull market forming, pile in with everything he had, and then watch as prices dipped just enough to wipe him out before the big move took off. He once admitted, "It was never my thinking that made me the big money. It always was my sitting. Sitting, waiting, letting time do its work." That was the lesson that turned him from a gambler into a legend. Picture Livermore pacing his office, cigarette smoke curling through the air, charts spread across the desk. He's certain the stock will rise. He feels the adrenaline urging him to act. But this time, he does something different. He waits. Hours pass. The market shakes out the impatient traders, dipping violently. Then, like a coiled spring releasing, it reverses and launches skyward. Livermore finally enters, and this time, he rides the wave instead of drowning under it. The difference wasn't knowledge, it was timing. The hard truth is this: being right is meaningless if you're early. In fact, being early is just another way of being wrong. The market doesn't reward prediction, it rewards synchronization. When your action aligns with the rhythm of price, that's when trading feels effortless. But when you fight the rhythm, even the correct direction feels like quicksand. So, let me ask you, how many times have you nailed the trend, only to lose money because you jumped too soon? What if from now on, you pause before pressing the button? What if you waited for confirmation instead of rushing on impulse? Take 5 seconds right now and think of your last impulsive trade. Got it? That's the enemy we're fighting. Which brings us to understanding how the market actually moves. Because if timing is everything, then understanding the battlefield where price action unfolds becomes your first tactical advantage. The market is a battlefield, vast, strategic, and merciless. Every tick is a skirmish, every candle a battle, every trend a campaign. Warriors see the same formations, the same opportunities, but here's the strategic reality. Spotting the enemy's weakness isn't enough. You have to strike at the exact moment their guard drops. Attack too early, and you walk into an ambush. Attack too late, and the opportunity vanishes. In trading, victory and defeat are separated by seconds. The core principle here: the market is a strategic opponent, and you're not its general, you're its student. The price action doesn't care about your analysis. It doesn't care about your indicators. It only cares about your execution. Paul Tudor Jones, one of the greatest market warriors, stated it clearly. The most important rule of trading is to play great defense. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about when you're right and when you're wrong. Notice he didn't say if you're right. He said when. That single word contains the entire secret of market warfare. Let me show you two traders in action. The first, a rookie warrior, sees gold rallying. The formations look perfect. Momentum is building. His instincts scream, "Attack now." He charges in like a soldier breaking cover too soon. At first, the position moves in his favor. Victory seems assured. But within minutes, the market counterattacks, and he's caught in crossfire. Account wounded, confidence shattered. He was right about the direction, but he was wrong about the moment. Now, watch a seasoned veteran approach the same battlefield. She sees the same setup, but instead of charging instantly, she observes. She notes the volume building, the resistance weakening, the session changing guard. She waits for the moment when the market's defenses are truly broken. And only then, when victory is probable, not just possible, she strikes. The market carries her forward effortlessly. She's not fighting, she's flowing with the battle's natural rhythm. The strategic truth: every trend has its ambushes. The market sets traps, false breakouts, fake reversals, designed to eliminate undisciplined traders. They exist for one reason: to separate the impulsive from the patient. If you attack at the first sign of movement, you're not winning the battle. You're walking into a trap. What the market really tests is your tactical patience. Show restraint, and it rewards you with clear opportunities. Turn the analysis on yourself. How many times have you been that soldier who charged too soon, seduced by the first sign of weakness? How often have you attacked the market, only to find yourself surrounded when the formation collapsed? Here's a tactical test. Next time you see a setup, count to 10 before acting. If it's still valid after 10 seconds, it might be real. If it disappears, you just saved yourself from an ambush. Yet recognizing the battlefield isn't enough. You need to understand the fundamental laws of engagement. And the first law, the one that saves more traders than any other, is surprisingly simple yet brutally ignored. Chapter 3. No candle close, no trade. Here's the brutal truth. A candle that hasn't closed is a liar in a courtroom. It testifies one story, then completely changes its testimony at the last second. It promises breakthrough, then retreats into safety. It signals strength, then reveals weakness. If you've ever entered a position that looked perfect, only to watch it reverse the moment you committed, you've been deceived by the open candle. And this is why the iron law exists. No candle close, no trade. The fundamental principle is deceptively simple, yet most traders violate it daily. A candle only reveals its verdict when it closes. Until then, it's like judging a trial before the final witness speaks. Mark Douglas, in Trading in the Zone, taught us that markets operate on probabilities, not certainties. Every open candle is pure probability. Only when it closes do you know which force actually won the battle. To act before that moment is to gamble on incomplete information. Watch this scenario unfold. A trader sits at his desk, eyes locked on the 1-hour candle surging upward. It's green, long, powerful, like a rocket launching. He feels the familiar rush, the fear of missing the move. He clicks buy. For several minutes, the screen rewards him. His profit and loss flashes green. Dopamine floods his brain. But as the clock approaches the hour's end, sellers flood in like a dam breaking. The mighty green bar shrinks, wavers, then flips to red. His profit evaporates, his stop-loss triggers, and the market ejects him. One candle, one deception, one expensive lesson. Now observe a different approach. Another trader, educated by past deceptions, watches the same chart. She feels the same surge of excitement, but maintains discipline. Not yet, she reminds herself. The candle climbs, wavers, and then collapses. When it finally closes, the verdict is clear. Sellers won. By waiting, she preserved her capital. By waiting, she maintained clarity. And when the next candle confirms the new direction, she enters with precision, aligned with the market's true intention. That single act of patience separates gambling from professional trading. The revelation: an open candle is not a signal, it's a test. It's the market asking, can you resist incomplete information? What most traders don't realize is that the market profits from your impatience. Every premature entry feeds the professionals who wait. The closed candle is your filter. It tells you, now the battle is decided. Now you know who controls the field. Now it's safe to act. Pause and calculate this. How many times have you pressed buy or sell because you couldn't wait those final minutes? How much capital have you donated to the market simply because you couldn't let the candle close? What if, starting today, you made an unbreakable commitment? No more early entries, no more gambling on half-formed signals, only closed candles, only complete information. But here's the deeper layer. Not all closed candles carry equal weight. Some close during market doldrums where nothing really happens. Others close during the golden hours where real money moves markets. Understanding this distinction transforms good timing into perfect timing. Chapter 4: The Golden Hours of Trading. The market operates on a schedule as predictable as sunrise and sunset, and just like nature, there are periods of dormancy and periods of explosive activity. Some hours drift by like a lazy afternoon, prices barely moving, volume almost non-existent. Others erupt with violent energy, fortunes made and lost in minutes. And then there are the golden hours, the moments when institutional money flows, volume explodes, and the market finally reveals its true intentions. Master these hours, and you're no longer gambling in shadows, you're trading in spotlight. The strategic reality: not all trading hours offer equal opportunity. Trading the wrong session is like fishing in a swimming pool. You might catch something, but it won't feed you. The Asian session, typically quiet and ranging, often traps new traders in meaningless oscillations. The market drifts sideways, teasing with micro moves that look like trends but fade into nothing. Then London opens. Suddenly the sleeping giant awakens, energy builds, real money enters, and actual trends begin forming. And finally New York joins. The full orchestra plays, liquidity floods the system, and the day's true direction emerges. This is where professionals focus their energy. A trader once revealed he blew 3 accounts, trading exclusively during Asian hours. He would stay up all night, forcing trades on 5-pip moves, convinced he could catch something meaningful. But all he caught was exhaustion and steady losses. Then he changed one simple rule: trade only London Open and New York Open. Suddenly, he wasn't chasing shadows anymore. He was aligned with institutional flow. His win rate didn't just improve, it transformed. Same trader, same strategy, different hours, completely different results. Linda Rashka, the legendary trader from Market Wizards, revealed she only needed 2 to 3 hours of quality trading each day to make her entire year. Think about that. Not days of screen time, not endless analysis, just a few golden hours. Because when you focus on peak liquidity periods, you don't need to wrestle with the market. You let institutional momentum do the heavy lifting. Visualize the market's daily rhythm. Asian session, like a library at midnight, quiet, still. Occasional whispers, but no real conversation. Then London bells ring at 8 a.m. UK time, and suddenly the library transforms into a trading floor. Candles stretch, volume surges, and price moves with conviction. By the time New York opens at 8 a.m. Eastern, it's a full stadium roar, powerful, directional, carrying everything in its path. The amateur sees boredom in Asia and tries to force action. The professional sees opportunity in London and New York and strikes only when the momentum is undeniable. The golden hour principle. Sessions are not just time zones, they're market states. Each has a distinct personality, Asia whispers. Europe builds the narrative. America delivers the verdict. If you try to extract profit from the wrong state, you're not trading. You're fighting the market's natural rhythm. Examine your own trading honestly. How many late nights have you spent staring at charts during dead hours, forcing trades in silence, only to wake exhausted with a smaller account? What if, instead of spreading yourself across 24 hours, you focus laser sharp on just 4 to 6 golden hours? Take a week and trade only during major session opens. Document the difference in your results. Yet, mastering time isn't just about reading candles during the right hours. It's about understanding what those candles actually mean in context, because the same pattern can be a trap or a treasure depending on when it appears. Chapter 5. Candle Psychology and the Clock. A candle is more than data on a screen. It's a psychological fingerprint. Each wick tells a story of rejection. Each body reveals who won the battle. Each close shows the final verdict. To the untrained eye, candles are just red and green bars. To the professional, they're narratives of fear, greed, exhaustion, and conviction. But here's what most traders miss. Those stories only matter when you understand when they're being told. A pin bar at 2 a.m. in Tokyo whispers. The same pin bar at 9:30 a.m. in New York screams. Same pattern, completely different meaning. That's the secret. Candles without time context are incomplete sentences. The contextual principle, price action without temporal awareness, is dangerous half-truth. Steve Neeson, who brought candlestick patterns to the West, taught that candles reveal crowd psychology. But the missing piece is this. Crowd psychology is amplified or muted by time. A bullish engulfing pattern during lunch hour doldrums is often meaningless noise. That same pattern during institutional trading hours is a declaration of intent. Watch this unfold. Asian session drifts quietly, low volume, narrow range. Suddenly, a perfect pin bar forms its support. An eager trader jumps in, convinced reversal is imminent. Minutes pass, price drifts sideways, then slowly bleeds lower. The pin bar was a mirage in the desert. Now shift to New York Open. Volume floods in, volatility explodes, and another pin bar prints at similar support. This time, the reaction is immediate and violent. Price rockets upward, carrying anyone who waited. Two identical patterns, completely different outcomes. The variable wasn't the candle, it was the clock. Remember that millionaire trader from my opening story? After I lost that gold trade, he showed me something that changed everything. He pulled up two charts, identical pin bars, one during Asian session, one during London Open. Same pattern, he said, but only one had the crowd behind it. The candle is just the messenger. Time determines if anyone's listening. The time context principle. The candle is the message, but time is the volume control. Without considering when a pattern appears, you're reading text without punctuation. Professionals don't just ask, "What is this candle saying?" They ask, "When is it saying it, and who's listening?" They know a hammer pattern after news carries the weight of thousands repositioning. They know that same hammer in pre-market means nothing. They wait for confluence, the right pattern at the right time. Hold yourself accountable. How many times have you taken a perfect setup that failed simply because you ignored when it appeared? How often have you treated all candle patterns as equal, regardless of session or volume? Starting now, add this filter. Only trade patterns that appear during your proven golden hours. Track 20 trades with this rule and 20 without. The difference will shock you. This understanding becomes even more critical when chaos strikes the market, because there's one moment where even perfect candle reading and timing mean nothing: when news hits. In those moments, the market transforms into pure madness, and those who don't respect it are instantly destroyed. There is no moment more violent in trading than when major news hits the market. Non-farm payrolls, CPI data, Federal Reserve statements. These announcements strike like lightning, ripping through charts with ruthless force. Candles explode up 50 pips, crash down 100, then reverse again, all within seconds. For the unprepared trader, news is not opportunity. It's a wood chipper that shreds accounts in seconds. The fundamental truth: news doesn't reveal clarity, it reveals chaos. George Soros, perhaps the greatest speculator ever, explained that markets are constantly in flux, and money is made by betting on the unexpected, not the obvious. What he understood is that news doesn't reflect rational analysis. It reflects pure emotion. In those first minutes after release, the market isn't thinking. It's reacting with primal fear, greed, and confusion. If you try to trade that chaos, you become its victim. Watch this disaster unfold. A trader sits nervously before non-farm payrolls. He's analyzed the expectations, he believes the number will disappoint, so he places a sell order 60 seconds before release. The countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, release. The price rockets upward, instantly destroying his stop. Before he can process what happened, price reverses violently downward, below his original entry. He watches in horror as the chart becomes a blur of violence, his capital evaporating in seconds. The market wasn't testing his analysis, it was testing his discipline, and he failed catastrophically. She sits calmly, watching the same release approach. She doesn't place any orders, she doesn't predict, she doesn't gamble. Instead, she lets chaos explode and exhaust itself. Price shoots upward, crashes downward, triggers every stop-loss in existence. She takes notes, observing the volume surge, watching the panic unfold. Then, as dust settles and emotions calm, she sees it. A powerful hourly candle closes, showing who truly won the battle. With precision, she enters in that confirmed direction. This time, the storm carries her profit, instead of destroying her capital. The news principle: the market doesn't care what the news says. It cares how traders react emotionally to that news. That's why professionals wait. They don't trade the announcement, they trade the aftermath. They know the first 5 minutes are a slaughterhouse designed to eliminate the overeager. The opportunity isn't in predicting the storm, but in sailing after it passes. Reflect on your news trading history. How many times have you gambled before a release, convinced you knew the outcome, only to be punished regardless? What if you established a new rule? No entries 30 minutes before or 5 minutes after major news. Tomorrow, when news hits, don't trade it. Instead, watch it like a scientist. Observe the chaos, note the patterns, wait for the close. You'll learn more from watching one news event than losing money in 10. Speaking of learning, avoiding news disasters is just one type of discipline. The broader challenge is knowing when to stay completely out of the market, because the greatest traders aren't always in action. They're masters of strategic inaction. Chapter 7: The Art of Staying Out. Here's the paradox that breaks most traders. Sometimes the most profitable trade is no trade at all. That sounds like surrender to the hyperactive mind. How could inaction create profit? But every veteran will confirm the same truth. Survival comes not just from the trades you take, but more importantly, from the ones you refuse. The market is a minefield of traps, false signals, and noise specifically designed to trigger your impulses. The rookies step on every mine. The masters map the field and wait. The core concept: restraint is a position. When you don't trade, you're not passive. You're actively protecting capital, preserving mental energy, maintaining clarity for when real opportunity appears. Issei Koda, the legendary systematic trader, famously said that good trading is boring. What he meant, beyond the obvious, was that professionals spend most of their time waiting, watching, doing nothing. If the conditions aren't perfect, a professional doesn't adjust their standards, they adjust their activity to zero. Picture this scenario. A trader stares at his screen during the midday doldrums. The candles are choppy, volume has dried up. Every breakout immediately reverses into a fakeout. His fingers itch. Maybe I can scalp something here, he rationalizes. He presses buy. Within minutes, the market reverses, tagging his stop. Frustrated and now down money, he enters again. Desperate to recover, another stop, another loss. By session end, he's drained financially and emotionally. All because he couldn't do the hardest thing in trading: nothing. Now observe a different approach. She sees the same choppy price action, the same low volume grind, but she recognizes it for what it is: a no trade zone. She writes in her journal, midday chop, no clear direction, volume below average, staying out. Then she steps away completely. She preserves her capital, and more importantly, her mental clarity. Hours later, as volume returns with the U.S. afternoon session, she returns fresh, focused, ready. She takes one trade, a clean setup with institutional momentum behind it, and captures a full day's profit in one move. The difference? Discipline to recognize that doing nothing is not weakness. It's tactical wisdom. The staying out principle: markets reward patience and punish compulsion. Every bad trade you've ever taken was born from the fear of missing out, the anxiety of inactivity, the inability to tolerate silence. But silence is where professionals grow stronger. Silence is where clarity builds. Just like a sniper who waits hours for one perfect shot, you must wait for one perfect setup. Here's your discipline test for tomorrow. Before the market opens, write down the maximum number of trades you'll take. Make it 2. No matter what happens, no matter what setups appear after those two trades, you're done for the day. Watch how this constraint forces quality over quantity. Watch how your selection process sharpens when resources are limited. But patience alone won't save you if you don't understand the mathematics of survival, because you can be patient, selective, and still blow up if you don't respect the iron law of risk and reward. Chapter 8: Risk and Reward, the Mathematics of Survival. Here's the truth that shatters illusions. It doesn't matter if you win 70% of your trades. What matters is the relationship between what you risk and what you gain. A trader can win 8 out of 10 trades and still blow up if losses are massive and wins are tiny. Another trader can win only 4 out of 10 and build wealth if wins are 3 times larger than losses. Survival and prosperity come down to one equation: risk to reward ratio. The mathematical principle: every trade is a probability equation, and the only variable you control completely is how much you're willing to lose versus how much you're targeting to gain. Professionals don't obsess over being right. They obsess over asymmetry. Jesse Livermore learned this through bankruptcy. Early career, he'd bet everything on conviction alone. When wrong, he was ruined. When he discovered the power of risking 1 to make 3, his fortune was built. Same trader, same skills, different math, completely different outcome. Visualize the mathematics. A trader enters with stop loss of $100, target of $300. He loses 3 times consecutively. That's minus 300. Fourth trade wins, plus 300. He's back to break even. Fifth trade wins, plus 300 profit. He was wrong 60% of the time, yet his account grew. This is the magic of asymmetric risk. Losing more often than winning, but winning bigger when you win. Now, witness the opposite mathematics. A trader risks $500 to make 100. He wins 3 consecutive trades, fantastic, plus 300. But then one loss comes, minus 500, net result, minus 200. He was right 75% of the time, yet he's poorer. The difference isn't intelligence or prediction, it's mathematical structure. The risk-reward revelation. Proper ratios aren't just numbers, they're freedom. They allow you to survive losing streaks without despair. They allow you to embrace probability instead of fearing it. When your losses are small and wins are large, the market can cut you repeatedly, and you'll still stand. Paul Tudor Jones said it perfectly. Don't focus on making money. Focus on protecting what you have. Because when you protect the downside, the upside takes care of itself mathematically. Calculate your last 20 trades right now. What was your average winner versus average loser? If the ratio is less than 2 to 1, you're playing a losing game even if you're right most of the time. Starting tomorrow, establish this rule. No trade with less than 1 to 2 risk-reward ratio. Yes, you'll take fewer trades, but the ones you take will be mathematically superior. This mathematical foundation becomes even more powerful when combined with proper capital protection. Because even perfect risk-reward ratios mean nothing if you bet too much on any single trade. Chapter 9: Capital, Timing, and the Art of Survival. Trading without money management is like going to war without armor. You may have the best strategy, perfect timing, and superior intelligence, but one lucky shot from the enemy will end everything. In the market, your armor is position sizing, and the only way to survive endless battles is to protect yourself mathematically. The survival principle. Risk management isn't optional, it's oxygen. Every legend from Livermore to Tudor Jones to Druckenmiller repeats the same commandment in different words. Preserve capital first, seek profit second. You can be wrong repeatedly and still prosper if you manage risk. But one reckless position, one oversized bet, one moment of greed can erase years of progress. The mathematics are cruel. Lose 50% of your account, and you need 100% gain just to break even. That's why professionals never risk more than 1 to 2% per trade. Picture the contrast. A trader risks 10% of his account per trade, feeling invincible after recent wins. 3 wins in a row, and he's up 30%. Fourth trade, the market turns. In one position, half his gains evaporate. By the 6th trade, his account is decimated, his confidence shattered. He was right more often than wrong, but his position sizing was suicidal. Now let's see observe another trader. She risks precisely 2% per trade, no exceptions. Losses sting, but never cripple. She journals, adjusts, survives. When the right setup appears, she executes with calm precision. Even during a 5-trade losing streak, her account remains functional. She's not gambling. She's playing a game she can afford to lose repeatedly and still win eventually. The capital principle: your account balance isn't just money, it's time. Every dollar lost recklessly is future opportunity stolen. When you risk small, you buy yourself more trades, more lessons, more chances for probability to work. When you risk too much, you shorten your career, sometimes to zero in one trade. That's why the greatest traders obsess not over making fortunes, but over taking small losses. Here's a reality check. Pull up your largest loss ever. Now, calculate what percentage of your account it was. If it was more than 5%, you weren't trading, you were gambling. Tonight, before you sleep, write this rule and post it on your screen. Maximum 2% risk per trade, no exceptions. Ever. Feel the psychological shift when you know that no single trade can wound you deeply. But even with perfect risk management, the market will test you with its most brutal psychological weapon, the losing streak. How you handle consecutive losses determines whether you're a survivor or another statistic. Chapter 10. The Psychology of Losing Streaks. Every trader's nightmare lives here. The unstoppable string of red trades, loss after loss after loss. The creeping terror that whispers, "You've lost your edge. You'll never win again." Losing streaks are mathematically inevitable, but how you respond to them determines whether you survive to trade another day or join the 90% who quit. It's not the losses themselves that destroy traders, it's the psychological spiral they trigger, the mathematical reality. Losing streaks are not failure, they're probability. Even traders with 60% win rates will face 5, 7, even 10 losses in a row. It's not bad luck, it's statistics. Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller, every legend has endured them. The difference is that professionals treat losing streaks as weather patterns, while amateurs treat them as identity crises. A storm doesn't mean the sky has abandoned you. It simply means conditions have temporarily shifted, and your job is to survive until sunshine returns. Watch destruction unfold. A trader takes 5 consecutive losses. First loss, bad timing. Second loss, unlucky. Third loss, frustration builds. Fourth loss, panic sets in. Fifth loss, full tilt. He's no longer thinking, only reacting. He doubles position size to make it back quickly, and in one desperate trade, he destroys weeks of careful gains. His account is hemorrhaging, but worse, his confidence is shattered. This is how losing streaks kill, not through mathematics, but through emotional cascade. Now is observe professional response. She also takes 5 consecutive losses, but she has protocols. 2 losses trigger reduced position size. 3 losses trigger a mandatory 24-hour break. 5 losses trigger system review, not system abandonment. She journals emotions, analyzes setups, and most crucially, she separates temporary results from permanent identity. She knows the difference between losing and being a loser. And when probability shifts back, she's ready, calm, positioned to recover. The storm didn't sink her. It educated her. The losing streak principle: your identity must never merge with your recent results. Mark Douglas taught that the market has unlimited ways to humble you, and if you personalize each loss, you'll collapse under the weight. Losing streaks aren't proof of failure. They're proof you're in the game. The only way to avoid them is to not trade at all. Write down this protocol right now. After 2 consecutive losses, I reduce position size by 50%. After 3 consecutive losses, I stop trading for 24 hours. After 5 consecutive losses, I review my system, but don't abandon it. Post this where you trade. When the losing streak comes, and it will come, you'll have a plan instead of panic. These defensive strategies, risk management, capital preservation, handling losses, they keep you alive. But survival isn't enough. To thrive, you need the discipline to wait for only the best opportunities and execute them flawlessly. You need to become the apex predator. Chapter 11. The hunter waits for the perfect strike. In the wild, the apex predator isn't the one that hunts constantly. It's the one that waits. A lion doesn't chase every gazelle. It conserves energy, studies patterns, waits for the weak, the slow, the isolated. Hours pass, sometimes days, before it makes a single move. And when it strikes, the outcome is nearly certain. Trading follows identical principles. The amateurs are scavengers, darting at every movement, exhausting themselves for scraps. The professionals are apex predators, patient, selective, lethal when they strike. The hunting principle, quality over quantity, always. 100 mediocre trades will never equal the power of 3 perfectly timed strikes. Professionals don't need to trade every session. They need only a handful of premium setups each month. And just like the apex predator, their patience is their power. Picture the market as a vast savanna at dawn. Price movements flicker like grass in wind. Herds of traders scatter at every noise, rushing into setups that look like opportunity but are actually traps. The tension is palpable. Somewhere in that field, the predator waits, completely still. He doesn't move when the herd surges left. He doesn't react when it panics right. His eyes are locked on one target, the setup that meets all his criteria, the one that's perfectly positioned. Then, with explosive precision, he strikes. The hunt is over in seconds. That's professional trading, patience exploding into precision. Consider how this applies to news events. Many traders gamble before releases, rushing into chaos, and most are destroyed. But the apex trader waits. The news hits, chaos explodes, stops are hunted. He watches, calm, calculating, then dust settles, the hourly candle closes, and direction becomes clear. That's his prey. He enters with conviction, rides the momentum, and exits with profit while others nurse wounds. He didn't trade often. He didn't chase noise. He waited for the perfect moment, then struck with maximum force. The predator principle. Restraint isn't weakness, it's strategy. The lion doesn't starve because it doesn't hunt constantly. It thrives because it conserves energy for kills that matter. As traders, the same law applies. Each impulsive trade drains your capital, your energy, your edge. But each patient trade compounds not only profit but mastery. Starting Monday, try this experiment. For one entire week, take only your single best setup each day. Not 3 good ones, not 2 decent ones. One exceptional setup that meets every criterion. Document how this changes not just your results, but your entire mental state. You'll discover that trading less actually means earning more. But waiting for perfect setups requires more than patience. You need a system to keep yourself accountable. You need laws that govern your behavior when emotions run high. Chapter 12. The Fortress of Discipline. Every trader enters the market dreaming of freedom. Freedom to work from anywhere. Freedom from bosses. Freedom to control their destiny. But here's the great irony. The only path to freedom runs straight through the fortress of discipline. Without discipline, you're not free. You're enslaved to your impulses, imprisoned by your emotions, tortured by every tick. Discipline is the fortress that protects your capital, your sanity, and your future. Without it, the market will burn you alive. The core truth: rules without enforcement are just suggestions. You can design the most sophisticated system ever created, but if you break it under emotional pressure, it's worthless. Mark Douglas warned that one undisciplined trade won't kill you, but a pattern of broken rules will destroy everything. Discipline isn't about rigidity, it's about self-protection. Think of it as a fortress built brick by brick. Daily habits, strict limits, clear boundaries, and unbreakable protocols. Let me show you discipline tested. A trader sets a rule, maximum 3 trades per day, written on a card taped to his monitor. First trade, loss. Second trade, loss. Frustration boils, revenge whispers, just one more to get it back. He stares at the screen, hand hovering over the mouse, heart pounding. In this moment, the fortress either holds or crumbles. If he clicks, he breaks his wall, opens the gate, invites chaos inside. If he stands up, closes the platform, and honors his rule, he loses 2 trades but saves his account. Discipline is the difference between temporary loss and permanent destruction. Now, witness discipline perfected. Another trader, scarred by years of blown accounts, builds her fortress methodically. She sets maximum risk per trade, daily loss limits, mandatory break periods. When she hits 2 losses consecutively, she stops without hesitation. The fortress holds. She doesn't just protect capital, she protects her psychology. Because she knows that revenge trading isn't trading at all. It's emotional gambling disguised as market participation. The fortress principle: the market is a revealer. If you lack discipline, it will expose you mercilessly. Every broken rule is tuition paid to the market. Every loss from impatience is a tax on weakness. But every time you follow your rules, especially during losses, you grow stronger. You program yourself to be unbreakable, like a fortress that strengthens with each storm it survives. Test yourself tomorrow with this challenge. Write 3 unbreakable rules before the market opens. Simple ones like maximum 3 trades, no trading during lunch, stop after 2 losses. The rules matter less than keeping them. If you can follow your own laws for just one day, you'll understand the power of discipline. If you can't, you'll understand why most traders fail. Discipline is powerful, but it needs structure. Rules scattered in your mind bend under pressure. Rules written in stone remain unbreakable. This is why you need a formal system. Chapter 13. The Laws of Your Personal System. A trader without a system is like a ship without navigation, pushed randomly by currents of fear and greed, drifting until it crashes on rocks. You might survive temporarily on instinct or luck, but eventually the storm arrives, and when it does, only one thing keeps you alive: your laws. Not guidelines, not suggestions, laws. Written, specific, unbreakable. The system principle. Your trading system isn't just entry and exit rules. It's your constitution, your personal law book, the framework that saves you from yourself. Jesse Livermore kept detailed notebooks filled with rules learned through painful experience. Mark Douglas taught that consistency comes not from predicting markets, but from following rules without exception. When you write your system, you're not just designing trades, you're designing your trading identity. Observe the contrast. A novice trader wakes up, scans charts, and acts on feeling. Some days profit, most days loss. But always his equity curve looks like an earthquake seismograph. Violent, unpredictable, exhausting. His mind is fractured, confidence destroyed. Now observe a systematic trader. She has her rules posted beside her monitors. No candle close, no trade. Only London and New York sessions. Maximum 3 trades daily. Risk 2% maximum. No trading 30 minutes before or after major news. Exit immediately if setup invalidates. Every day she consults her system like a pilot checking instruments. When temptation whispers, her rules shout louder. Her equity curve isn't perfect, but it trends upward, steady, sustainable. The system revelation. Freedom in trading doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from binding yourself to laws that protect you from chaos. The system is simultaneously your fortress wall, your compass, and your anchor. Without it, you drift. With it, you endure. And endurance, given time, becomes prosperity. Tonight, before you sleep, create your trading constitution. Not 20 rules, that's overwhelming. 5 to 7 laws that address your biggest weaknesses. If you're impatient, include wait for candle close. If you overtrade, include maximum 3 trades daily. If you chase losses, include stop after 2 consecutive losses. Print them, post them, follow them. Your survival depends on it. A system keeps you disciplined, but there's one final tool that makes everything else work: the journal. Because you can't improve what you don't measure, and you can't fix what you don't record. Chapter 14. The Journal of Time. A trader without a journal is like a pilot flying blind through storms. You may feel the turbulence, you may sense danger, but without instruments, without records, you're lost in chaos, doomed to crash into the same mountains repeatedly. Timing mastery isn't just about understanding markets. It's about understanding yourself, your patterns, your weaknesses, your unconscious habits. And the only way to see these clearly is to write them down. The revolutionary insight. Your journal isn't just record keeping. It's pattern recognition. It's the mirror that reflects truths you'd never see in real time. Dr. Brett Steenbarger, who wrote The Daily Trading Coach, discovered that self-analysis beats any technical indicator. Why? Because the market doesn't just move in patterns, you move in patterns. And those patterns either generate profit or guarantee loss. Picture this contrast. A trader closes another losing week. He shrugs, blames market conditions, and moves on without writing a single note. Weeks later, the same losses repeat. Identical mistakes, identical timing errors, identical emotional reactions. Without a journal, he has no map of his failures, only fog. Every trade is logged with surgical precision. Entry time, session, candle pattern, emotional state, market conditions. At week's end, she reviews her data and discovers something shocking. 80% of her losses occur during lunch hour doldrums. 90% of her wins cluster around London Open. The The journal didn't just track trades, it revealed her timing edge. Knowledge is power, but documented knowledge is transformation. 6 months after I learned about timing from that millionaire trader, I discovered something shocking in my own journal. Every single profitable week had one thing in common. I traded less than 10 times. Every losing week, 20 plus trades. The pattern was hidden in plain sight, but without the journal, I'd never have seen it. That discovery alone transformed my results. The journal principle: the market punishes forgetfulness. If you don't record, you don't learn. And if you don't learn, you repeat. What millionaire traders know, and what struggling traders ignore, is that journaling isn't optional, it's survival. It's the black box recorder of your trading journey, the only tool that lets you reconstruct every crash and avoid repeating it. Start this today, not tomorrow. Create a simple spreadsheet with these columns: date, time, session, setup type, entry price, exit price, profit loss, emotional state, and notes. After 20 trades, sort by profit and loss. Look for patterns in the winners versus losers. The patterns you find will be worth more than any course you could buy. But all these tools, disciplines, systems, journals, they're just preparation for the ultimate truth. The final lesson that separates survivors from casualties. The one principle that, once accepted, changes everything. Chapter 15. The market is never wrong. There is one truth that echoes through every trading floor, whispered by legends and carved into the souls of survivors. The market is never wrong. It doesn't matter how brilliant your analysis, how perfect your setup, how confident you feel. If the market moves against you, the market is right, and you are not. Every loss, every blown account, every shattered dream is born from fighting this law. The humility principle. The market is bigger than you, bigger than your ego, bigger than your analysis. To fight it is to fight the ocean with your fists. To align with it is to ride waves you could never create alone. Paul Tudor Jones said it best. Don't be a hero. Don't have an ego. Always question yourself and your ability. Don't ever feel that you are very good. The second you do, you are dead. Watch ego destroy a trader. He sees a setup, believes in it so completely that he sizes up, doubles down, refuses to be shaken out. The market rises against him. He refuses to yield. The market is wrong, he insists. It rises further. His stop loss is hit, but he removes it, adding to the position. Pride whispers, "You can't be wrong." Hours later, his account is gone. He wasn't destroyed by the market. He was destroyed by his refusal to accept the market's verdict. Now, witness humility save a trader. She takes the same setup, but when the hourly candle closes against her position, she exits without hesitation. The market has spoken. She takes the small loss, journals it, and moves on. Days later, she sees another setup, this time aligned with momentum, aligned with time, aligned with institutional flow. She enters, rides the wave, and profits. The difference? One fought reality, the other accepted it. That millionaire trader who mentored me, his final lesson was this: the market is your teacher, not your enemy. Every loss is a lesson, every win is a test. The moment you think you've mastered it, it will humble you. Stay a student forever. 5 years later, those words still guide every trade I take. The market truth. The market isn't your enemy. It's not personal. It's a mirror reflecting your patience, your discipline, your humility. Every loss isn't the market being wrong. It's you being early, late, or on the wrong side entirely. The faster you accept this, the faster you evolve from amateur to professional. Ask yourself with complete honesty, how many times have you blamed the market for your losses instead of accepting responsibility? How much pain have you created by refusing to admit the tide had turned? What if, from this moment forward, before every trade, you reminded yourself, the market is never wrong. Only I can be wrong, and being wrong is acceptable if I manage it correctly. When you embrace this truth, the market stops being a battlefield and becomes a teacher. Every candle, every loss, every win is feedback. And if you honor that feedback, if you flow with the tide instead of fighting it, you will survive long enough to thrive. The trader's commitment. You've just walked through 15 chapters, each one a brick in the fortress that keeps you alive in the markets. You've learned that being right about direction is meaningless if you're wrong about timing. You've discovered the market is a battlefield where timing is everything, and survival depends not on catching every move, but on striking only when conditions are perfect. You've understood why a candle means nothing until it closes, why golden hours are your allies, and why reading candles without time context is like reading text without punctuation. You've learned to respect the chaos of news, to embrace the discipline of staying out, and to structure every trade with mathematical precision through risk-reward ratios. You've seen how proper position sizing is your armor, how losing streaks are just probability, not identity, and how patience transforms you from scavenger to apex predator. You've built the fortress of discipline, written your laws in stone, and created a journal that reveals your hidden patterns. And through it all, you've confronted the ultimate truth. The market is never wrong, but knowledge without action is just entertainment. Discipline without commitment is just theory. This is your moment to cross the line from amateur to professional, from prey to predator, from gambler to trader. Here's your first test of real commitment. In the comments below, write one specific rule you'll follow for 30 days. Not a vague promise, but a specific, measurable commitment. If you've been burned by entering too early, write, I commit to waiting for candle close on every trade for 30 days. If you've been reckless with size, write, I commit to risking maximum 2% per trade, no exceptions, for 30 days. If you've been fighting the market instead of listening, write, I commit to exiting immediately when my stop is hit, no adjustments, for 30 days. But here's what makes this different. Add your current date and promise to return in 30 days with results. Write, today is date. I will report back on date plus 30 with my results. Because public accountability transforms intention into action. And when you return to report your results, you'll inspire others to take the same journey. If this video has shifted something inside you, if you finally understand why you've been losing, despite being smart, despite working hard, hit that like button. Not for the algorithm, but as a bookmark for yourself. A moment in time where you decided to stop being the market's victim and start being a disciplined trader. Share this with someone who keeps bleeding money despite having all the knowledge. Maybe you'll save them years of pain, thousands in losses, and the heartbreak of another blown account. Sometimes one video, watched at the right moment, changes everything. Take 10 seconds right now and think about where you'll be in 30 days if you follow through on your commitment. Visualize checking your journal and seeing consistent discipline. Feel the confidence of knowing you can trust yourself. That future is waiting, but only if you act today. Remember this above everything else. The market doesn't care about your predictions. It only respects your discipline. The tide doesn't bend for you. You bend to the tide. And when you finally master that, when you combine patience, timing, discipline, and humility, you will no longer be another casualty. You will be one of the few who survive, thrive, and inspire others to do the same. The market opens tomorrow. The same patterns will appear. The same traps will trigger. The only question is, will you be the same trader who walked into this video, or will you be the disciplined professional who walks out? The choice is yours. The market is waiting. And now you're ready. Welcome to Trading Psychology Stick. Welcome to the 10% who survive.